Heyo, I'm Brian,
I'm Richard.
and this is the I Love You 3000 Minutes podcast, the podcast where we time travel through the MCU movies from Iron Man 1 to Spider-Man Far From Home, the entire Infinity Saga, 1 minute at a time. And now we're here to break down the first minute in Iron Man 1, a film that came out in 2008. We start
With the Paramount logo, the long drawn out Paramount logo. There's probably at least 30 seconds right there. And I was saying that Iron Man should have led the stars coming around. That's a big miss, and I'm going to subtract a whole 1 out of 10.
Especially since I wanted to include this because it had specialized music, like setting the tone right from the get before we get over to the old Marvel logo. But a thing to remember is a few things to remember are that the MCU started as a joint launch between Marvel and Paramount for Iron Man and Marvel and Universal for the Incredible Hulk. So we still get these Paramount logos. And I believe Paramount went all the way through to the Avengers, and Disney had to buy out Paramount before releasing Avengers in theaters, buy out their cut in the box office. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That would have been a nice thing, and it's so far back. We get the original logo, page flips, not so dynamic as the current Marvel Studios logo that some have theorized was partially redesigned to differentiate themselves from the TV shows that were being made under Ike Perlmutter's rule. But then we go to Kunar Province, Afghanistan. Another thing to remember is that the villains in the movie were inspired by the resulting war after 9/11.
From within the previous 10 years, yeah.
It was a different time.
We get the totally played out AC/DC music.
Hey. That still lays in bed and romanticizes
With AC/DC?
as recently as Spider-Man Far From Home. I want to say that song F's without swearing. I'm so sweaty already.
What's the matter?
I don't know. It gets so hot in here.
Bro, I am chilled.
Ugh.
You're nervous without your car nearby?
No, I don't give a shit. I got mine. I could track that shit. Alright.
So you were gonna say that song's awesome, and it even is played in the latest Spider-Man, or the Spider-Man movies?
It was in Spider-Man Far From Home when he starts making the suit and Happy puts the movie on. So this was directed by Jon Favreau, largely improvised the story between him and Robert Downey Jr. Jeff Bridges said he would show up on days and have just new things. The script wasn't in its complete form, but things can change from day to day. And then we get a nice shot of 3 Humvees as they're just cruising along, and we see the behind the Humvees shot as 3 Humvees go through with the AC/DC music that Richard said is so overplayed.
Played out, yeah.
Played out.
Kind of tired of it after a zillion movies. We get it.
Alright, so the first minute, you already lost everybody. Oh, and I didn't mention, I'm wearing my special Avengers Endgame shirt that I'm sure they did not pay licensing for this logo. But if you're listening to audio, it says, all I care about is Avengers Endgame and, like, maybe 3 people and food. I'm reading that reverse in the camera viewfinder. If you were wondering why I was pausing, I have an Infinity War version, so I had to get this before Endgame. I mean, what's Endgame? We're watching this first minute for the first time ever. Do you remember how you saw Iron Man, or what attracted you to it the first time?
I watched it, what year did this movie come out?
2008, very soon after Charlie Bartlett, which was the first movie I ever saw Robert Downey Jr. in, Kat Dennings in, or Anton Yelchin in. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace, Anton Yelchin.
Yeah. I saw it probably 2 years later in my parents' basement, probably on DVD, probably rented from Blockbuster. No, they weren't in business yet anymore. I don't think so. But you know what, they might have been. Yeah, because it started dying towards the tail end of my college years.
Hey, the last Blockbuster just closed like a year or 2 ago. Or maybe a year before Captain Marvel came out. So what's Captain Marvel? I don't know what that is.
So just about 12 years ago, I might have rented it from Blockbuster and watched it, possibly with my brother. No, my brother watched it and he told me, bro, this movie's awesome. You should watch it. So I was like, cool. All I remember from that time is like, cool, they're in a desert and there's a cool scene coming up and blah, blah, blah.
Iron Man, bless your brother's heart. Or bless your brother's iron heart.
Mm-hmm.
Arc reactor? My first time, I'd seen trailers, and it was interesting. Around that time, there was like a rumor that they invented the whole Iron Man versus fighter jet sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And Jon Favreau came out. He was like, I didn't work on this sequence for like a year and a half just for it to be fake for the trailer. And then the only review I remember reading was in Red Eye, which was our local free newspaper, which I don't even know still continues. But they ranked it 3.5 out of 4 stars. And it wasn't too long after Dark Knight came out, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, same summer, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they gave it 3.5 stars. I was like, ooh, okay, boy. I didn't see it opening day, but saw it soon after.
Mm-hmm. And they're in Afghanistan, so the gas for those 3 Hummers is pretty nearby. And...
The gas. Their base or whatnot, I assume.
Sure.
Yeah, that's... I never thought about that. How fuel efficient are those?
No, they're not.
Like,
they get like 4 miles to the gallon.
What if you went in like a passage in between like mountains, had your exit cut off behind you, and then got ambushed? You'd have to be like, we have to keep going forward. Oh, but we only have enough gas to get back. How are we gonna go around this mountain and go to another pass?
I believe they're supposed to be bulletproof to a certain degree, and they can probably run through like 100 people. So,
you know, I don't know what's going to happen in these next minutes because we're going to pretend like we haven't seen this entire amazing saga, or me sat through a 60-hour movie marathon and 2 30-hour movie marathons. But we might see that they're not so bulletproof. I just have a feeling. Just a weird little feeling.
You're just staring straight at me. You're like, I just have a feeling this guy's gonna shit on
in a few minutes. Like we might see that they brought the humdrum V's out, all of them, and I don't know why I called it a humdrum V. Just a feeling.
So what are we missing from this last minute here?
I don't think much. It's just reminding us the origins of this whole saga and how different it was. Just 12 years ago.
And you know the backstory just by seeing the Paramount logo. You're like, oh yeah, this is what happened. There's a story behind this.
I think this was right when I actually read like every article on Screen Rant, when that was still a good publication and not total shh. That wasn't me shushing you. That was me not swearing. But yeah, there's a lot of history in that, and I'm just excited to revisit these and see them possibly in a new light. Get more details I haven't seen already. But yeah, I followed a lot of stuff before the movie came out.
I thought Disney bought Marvel in about 2012 or 2013. 2012
was when Avengers came out.
So,
I mean, what's Avengers? Right before Avengers came out in theaters.
Got you. So it was around... That's when they bought Paramount out of their deal or whatever, probably.
Yeah, they bought Marvel, and technically Disney would have had to split the revenue with Paramount.
Okay.
But they gave them lump sum to get that stake back.
Do you remember how much of a lump sum?
Yeah. Probably Paramount either. I wouldn't be surprised if either Paramount did make more money than they would have, or actually just ended up making less, because Avengers was huge.
Right. It was probably, enough to buy a couple small islands. You know? So.
Definitely a nice rainy day fund, which more than likely they probably needed. But, was this also around the same time Superman Returns came into theater? Maybe. I'm not sure. Oh, we were also going to mention our hair. There's no pandemic happening in the future when you're watching this, hopefully, and we'll all forget happily that it never happened.
I thought you were going to release it in a week or two, so, yeah.
This is the closest, if you're looking on video, I'll ever look to Nomad in Infinity War.
My hair, you're going to see that it's curly, and hopefully it's never this long again. And even though it's curly, because it's curly, you don't see it's actually like 4, 5, 6 inches. So, I don't know. I guess it actually looks good on camera. This is a nice look you got here.
I was literally going to say, he'll never believe this, but that's a cutie hairdo.
Yeah,
It's just
sure.
naturally. Mine's
I can look like
flat.
a super hipster.
Look at how horrible mine looks.
At least you can do stuff with it. All right, enough about our hair. Ugh.
But that's it for this minute.
I'm Richard.
I'm Brian.
You've got an army.
We've got a podcast.
Could have had Iron Man leading the stars.